What if the way you think right now in this very moment is silently building the entire life you will live tomorrow? Not your luck, not your circumstances, not even other people. Just your mind. There is a small book written over 2,000 years ago that opens with this exact idea. It has traveled across centuries, across wars, across empires that rose and fell. Kings have read it, monks have memorized it, ordinary people tired and searching have turned to it in their darkest nights. And its very first lines say something so simple yet so powerful that it can change how you see your entire life. It says, "You are what you think, all that you are arises with your thoughts. With your thoughts you make your world." Today we are going to walk through this ancient wisdom together, not as a history lesson but as a mirror, because what you are about to hear was never meant to just be read. It was meant to be lived. Let's begin. This book is called the Dhammapada. It is one of the most beloved texts in Buddhist teaching, believed to contain the direct words of the Buddha himself, gathered by his followers after his death. The word Dhammapada roughly means the path of truth or the verses of the way. It is not a long, complicated philosophy book. It is short, poetic, almost like a collection of ancient song lyrics about how to live well. And that is exactly why it has survived for over 2,000 years. Because it does not talk about rituals or distant gods, it talks about your mind, your anger, your fear, your peace, your suffering, things every human being on earth still feels today. Kings have used it to rule with wisdom, warriors have used it to find peace, and in our modern world of stress, comparison, and constant noise, its message feels more necessary than ever. Because underneath all our new technology and new problems, the human heart hasn't changed at all. We still crave peace, we still fear loss, we still wonder why we suffer. And this little book was written to answer exactly that. Let's start with the idea that opened this video. You are what you think. The Buddha taught that your mind is the forerunner of everything you experience, not your money. Not your job title, not even your body, your mind. Think about this for a moment. Two people can go through the exact same difficult day, same traffic, same criticism from a boss, same tiredness. One person becomes bitter, angry, and carries that anger home, poisoning their evening. The other person takes a breath, lets it go, and still manages to laugh with their family that night. Same day, same events, completely different inner world. The Dhammapada says that suffering follows an impure mind the way a wheel follows the ox that pulls the cart, but peace follows a pure mind like a shadow that never leaves. This is not a small idea, this is the entire foundation of the book. Your outer life is simply an echo of your inner world. So here is a question worth sitting with. What thoughts have you been feeding without even noticing all day long? Now the Buddha does not stop at think positive. That would be too simple and honestly a little empty, because the mind is not something you can just force into obedience. The Dhammapada compares the untrained mind to something wild and restless. It says the mind trembles like a fish pulled out of water, thrown onto dry land, desperate to return to where it feels safe. Have you ever felt that? Lying in bed at night, body still, but your mind running in circles, replaying arguments, worrying about tomorrow, jumping from thought to thought like it has a life of its own. That restlessness is not a personal failure, it is simply what an untrained mind does. But here is the hope hidden inside this teaching. Just as an archer straightens an arrow, the wise person can straighten their own mind. It takes practice, it takes patience, but it is absolutely possible. This is where meditation enters the picture, not as some mystical, complicated ritual, but as a daily training ground, a place to sit, breathe, and gently guide your wandering mind back home again and again. The Dhammapada praises those who master their own minds above almost anything else. It even says that conquering yourself is a greater victory than conquering 1,000 men in battle 1,000 times. Read that again. Your greatest opponent was never out there. It has always been the noise inside your own head. Now let's talk about something everyone struggles with, anger. We live in a world that rewards reaction. Someone hurts us and we feel justified to hurt back. Someone insults us and we want to defend ourselves loudly. But the Dhammapada offers a teaching that feels almost radical even today. It says hatred is never ended by hatred. Hatred is only ended by love. This is an ancient and unchanging law. Not revenge, not winning the argument, love. This does not mean staying silent when someone mistreats you. It does not mean becoming a doormat for other people's cruelty. It means understanding something deeper. When you respond to hatred with more hatred, you are not punishing the other person. You are poisoning your own heart. Imagine holding a burning coal in your hand, waiting to throw it at someone who hurt you. Who gets burned first? You do. The Buddha taught that anger is like that burning coal. The moment you pick it up to throw at someone else, you are the one who suffers most. This does not mean suppressing your feelings. It means choosing consciously not to let someone else's poor behavior control your inner peace. Because your peace is too valuable to hand over to someone else's actions. Let's talk about something that quietly runs almost every unhappy moment in modern life: comparison and desire. We live in a world of endless scrolling, endless comparing. Someone always seems to have more: a better body, a better relationship, a better life. The Dhammapada speaks directly to this ancient human trap. It teaches that craving is like a creeping vine. If left unchecked, it grows and grows, wrapping itself around your heart, never satisfied, always reaching for the next thing. Think about how true this is even now. You get the job you wanted, and within weeks, you're already craving the next promotion. You get the relationship you longed for, and soon you're focused on what's missing instead of what you finally have. This is not because something is wrong with you. It is simply how an untrained mind operates when it constantly looks outward for peace that can only be found within. The Dhammapada does not say ambition or effort is bad. It says something wiser. It says lasting peace can never be built on top of endless craving. There will always be a next thing to want. Contentment is not about having everything you desire. It is about no longer being enslaved by desire itself. Now here is something beautiful. This book does not just describe suffering, it gives a path out of it. The Buddha compares life to a river. Most people are swept along by the current, controlled by their reactions, their impulses, their fears. But some people learn to build a raft. They learn wisdom, self-discipline, and awareness, and slowly they begin to cross to the other shore, a place of peace that does not depend on outside conditions. This crossing does not happen overnight. The Dhammapada compares it to a dripping water pot. Drop by drop, the pot fills until eventually it overflows. In the same way, wisdom is built little by little through small, consistent choices, not one single dramatic moment. This is deeply comforting, isn't it? You don't need to transform your entire life today. You simply need one honest thought, one calmer reaction, one small act of awareness, and then another, and another. Growth is not a leap, it is a quiet, patient accumulation. One of the most touching teachings in the Dhammapada is about how we judge others and how quickly we excuse ourselves. The Buddha says it is easy to see the faults of others but difficult to see our own. We tend to scatter other people's mistakes like chaff in the wind, loudly, openly, without mercy. But we hide our own mistakes the way a clever gambler hides a losing card. Isn't this painfully true? We can spend hours annoyed at someone else's flaws while remaining almost blind to our own. This teaching is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to create honesty. Real growth begins the moment we turn that same sharp attention we give to others back toward ourselves with courage instead of judgment. Because self-awareness, uncomfortable as it may feel, is the doorway to real change. And finally, this book teaches something that quietly ties everything together. Everything changes. Nothing in this world stays the same. Not your pain, not your joy, not your youth, not your struggles. All things arise and all things pass. Understanding this is not meant to make life feel meaningless. It is meant to set you free. When you deeply understand that pain is temporary, you suffer less inside it. When you understand that pleasure is temporary too, you stop clinging so tightly, desperately, fearfully. This is not coldness, this is peace. The Dhammapada teaches that true freedom comes when you stop grasping at what cannot last and instead root yourself in something steady within: awareness, compassion, wisdom. These do not fade with time, these only deepen. The greatest transformation doesn't happen when you finish a book. It happens when you begin living what you've learned. You could listen to every teaching in the Dhammapada, and if nothing changes in how you think tomorrow morning, nothing has truly changed at all. But if just one idea from today stays with you, if you catch yourself the next time anger rises and choose stillness instead, if you notice a craving and gently let it pass, if you look inward with a little more honesty and a little more kindness, then this ancient wisdom has already begun its quiet work in your life. You are what you think. So think carefully. Because you are right now in this very moment, building the life you will live tomorrow. If this summary inspired you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this wisdom today. This video is a summary and personal interpretation of the Dhammapada, created to introduce its core teachings. For the complete depth of these verses and their traditional context, we encourage you to read the original text.